So my name is Kahala Two Bulls. I am the Executive Director of Circuit CASA. And for those of you who aren't familiar, CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocate. So we provide court advocacy for children in state custody, also known as foster care, due to abuse and neglect. And our program covers the 7th Circuit, so that's Pennington, Fall River, and Custer County. The vast majority of children in state custody in this area are from Pennington County, from the greater Rapid City area. So what we're really talking about is we're talking about kids right here in our community. Our family members, our neighbors, kids who go to school with our kids. And we're talking about, really, Renee, earlier you mentioned that neighborly feel. And Altina, you talked about treating everybody like a relative, right? And the foster care system really compensates for moments when direct family members and neighbors can't step in, or stepped in and it wasn't quite enough. But really what we do is we replicate those natural child-rearing protective circles that most people and most cultures have in some way around every child. I've seen a lot of activity on the internet lately, and some people like to say, you know, every child is our child. I think it's important to be really careful about ownership language when it comes to other people's children, but it's also important to be generous about anything we can offer in this care to children in our community. Can we offer protection? Can we offer support? Can we offer compassion about how difficult it is to raise children, to provide in a really challenging economic landscape, to understand what it's like to work through personal trauma, but also having to parent under an incredible amount of stress? It's really important to carefully and gracefully normalize that challenges come up and be part of a solution as much as we possibly can. When people volunteer for CASA, I always like to emphasize that this isn't a service that we do for other people. This is an act that we engage in to make our community something we can be proud of. It's not charity, it's collective responsibility, while still respecting those boundaries of not having ownership over other people's children. One of the reasons that Renee invited me here tonight is because, like many systems, the foster care system has experienced cuts in funding due to sweeping federal decisions. And it's important to understand that this was never an overfunded system. There was not, if you're looking to create efficiency, if you're looking for access, you're not going to find it within children in state custody and the services that they're receiving. However, quite a bit of funding from the Department of Justice goes to a program called OJJDP, which is the Office of Juvenile Justice Delinquency and Diversion Programs, I think is the DDP. All of those grants in one sweeping decision, over $800 billion, were terminated. Not frozen, not scaled back, but just sweepingly terminated. Those include grant funds that go to our National CASA Association, under which we're accredited, and those include grants that had been already granted to our program in order to run important background checks on volunteers that work with our children, and in order to develop a strategic plan and fund services to advocate for older youth in care here in our community at risk of aging out of the foster care system, which is an incredibly high-risk position to be in. every child who is in state custody, their legal parent here is the state of South Dakota. And it might not come as a tremendous surprise to this room, but the state of South Dakota is not a great parent. And really no state is a great parent. States and systems shouldn't be parenting. People should be parenting children. States should be working on infrastructure and these large sweeping things that help that parenting process be easier and more equitable for those within it. So when at a national level these big cuts get made, sometimes it can feel very unclear what the impact and unclear what the result is here in our community. But I'll tell you that the result is advocacy is now harder to provide to children right here in our community. Last year, there were 795 children in state custody over the course of 2024 in our community.
How many?
795. 10 years ago in 2014, there were 207 kids in custody over the course of the year. So in 10 years, that number's grown from 207 to 795. Like I said, this is not a system that was already doing great, that was already overfunded. This is a system that has tremendous challenges and a tremendous responsibility. And we need to communicate, we need to make sure that foster care in our community is accountable, that children are not invisible so that their needs are taken care of. And another story I wanted to share about the impact of these federal cuts is this morning I drove down to Hot Springs and I appeared in front of the Fall River County Commission, which is kind of an annual tradition that I have to go down, meet with the county commissioners. And that meeting this morning was unlike any meeting that I've been to. This was the 9th year in a row that I've gone to that meeting. And every person appearing in front of them represented an important service, whether it was Prairie Transit or the YMCA in Edgemont that provides basically all aftercare and summer programs for children in Edgemont. We all provide important services. And the entire county of Fall River is basically in chaos. They have no idea what they're going to receive in federal funding. They have no idea what their resources are so that they know how to allocate those, they know where to focus their impact. These federal cuts are coming down to a local level and are changing the landscape dramatically. And I think we have to be aware, we have to be focused, we have to think about really communicating and reflecting that back so that our representatives know that we're paying attention. I wrote Dusty Johnson about cuts to CASA, and he sent me back an email quoting my press release that I had sent out about what was going on with CASA, which is great because I didn't know that I could feed Dusty Johnson talking points about what's going on. But he's reading the press releases, he's getting these emails. The system has a certain amount of responsiveness, and we have to push on the places where we can get a response. And taking care of children who have been taken away from their families and do not have those natural support systems in place is vital work if we want to have an intact generation coming in, growing up, and having positive feelings about our community.